Life in Kiribati is unlike anywhere else on Earth. This is a nation where time itself bends, where ancient traditions meet the relentless march of the tides, and where the sun greets the planet before any other land. It's a place where women row the seas, dogs swim for leisure, and homes are built atop the bones of fallen warships. A land of fierce resilience and raw beauty, where the very horizon feels closer, and the ocean speaks in a language only the locals truly understand. Today, we embark on a cinematic journey to discover 15 astonishing facts about this extraordinary island nation, a country you've likely never visited and may never forget. From sacred rituals to dancing teenagers, from sun-kissed shores to silent war relics, Kiribati invites you to see life through a different lens. So pack your curiosity, leave your assumptions behind, and let's dive in. Number 15. The most isolated country in the world. Kiribati isn't just another island nation, it's a collection of 33 coral atolls and reef islands scattered across 3.5 million square kilometers of the Pacific Ocean. That's an area larger than India, though Kiribati's actual landmass totals only about 811 square kilometers. Its islands stretch across all 4 hemispheres, north, south, east, and west, making it the only country in the world to do so. To travel within Kiribati is no small feat. The main island cluster, the Gilbert Islands, sits over 1,900 miles from the Line Islands and the Phoenix Islands, all of which are part of the same nation. Some domestic flights can take several hours across endless stretches of ocean. For reference, that's like flying from New York to Denver, within your own country. Kiribati also holds the unique honor of being the first nation to welcome the new year. Thanks to a bold time zone realignment back in 1995, the government shifted the international dateline eastward to include its easternmost islands. As a result, the tiny remote island of Millennium Island, which was formerly known as Caroline Island, is the first place on Earth to see the sunrise each day, and each new year. It's a surreal experience. Imagine standing on a pristine beach, the salty Pacific breeze in your hair, knowing that the rest of the world lingers behind you in yesterday's shadow. The climate is predictably tropical, hot, humid, and oceanic. Temperatures hover between 26 and 32 degrees Celsius or 79 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, while steady trade winds offer occasional relief. The islands sit precariously at an average of just 6 feet above sea level. This makes Kiribati one of the most climate-vulnerable nations in the world, already grappling with the effects of rising seas. In an unprecedented move, the Kiribati government purchased 20 square kilometers of land on Vanuatu, which is Fiji's second-largest island, as a potential relocation site for its population. It's a sobering reminder of the realities facing small island nations in the era of climate change. Number 14. An island nation of strong and alluring women. What surprises many first-time travelers isn't just the postcard-perfect beaches or the azure waters, but the natural grace and resilience of Kiribati's women. Here, beauty isn't painted on with makeup or stitched into designer brands. It radiates from sun-kissed brown skin, kind eyes, and serene, knowing smiles. Spend a lazy afternoon on South Tarawa, the bustling capital atoll, and you'll witness women mending massive fishing nets with expert hands, rowing hefty wooden canoes through shallow lagoons, and carrying bundles of pandanus leaves balanced effortlessly on their heads. The songs of Kiribati's women, traditional teke-take, are ancient, passed down through generations. Soft, rhythmic, and filled with layered harmonies, they recount tales of love, war, the tides, and gods who once walked these shores. In the cool glow of evening, you might stumble upon an impromptu gathering where women sing beneath palm trees, their melodies mingling with the hush of waves. One of the most enchanting experiences is witnessing the tebuki, a traditional dance performed by teenage girls. It's a fusion of slow, elegant movements and fixed, intense eye contact. More than a dance, it's a rite of passage, a delicate ritual of grace and feminine pride. Watch carefully. Every sway of the hand, every gaze carries meaning. Despite embracing modern life, many Kiribati women proudly wear the tabuta, a traditional dress made from plant fibers or light cotton. Designed for the humid climate, it's airy, colorful, and intensely feminine. A place shrouded in mystery is the fabled Land of Goddesses, a remote, nearly uninhabited islet within the Gilbert chain. Visitors seeking favor from its ancient protectress must perform the Katabuan ritual, walking counterclockwise around the island while leaving gifts, fragrant flowers, shells, or woven mats. Locals believe disrespecting the ritual invites misfortune at sea. Number 13. The world's freest and most unusual dogs. Dogs in Kiribati defy Western notions of pet ownership. There are no collars, no leashes, no houses built for them. Instead, these semi-wild canines live as part of the island ecosystem, moving between villages, beaches, and churchyards at will. On South Tarawa's main road, you'll see packs lounging under shade trees and every now and then trotting to fishing markets where dropped fish guts and coconut scraps provide sustenance. They swim in the lagoons, dig cool hollows in the sand, and rest on corrugated iron rooftops warmed by the tropical sun. Far from being pests, they're considered part of the community, an informal but constant presence. Interestingly, these dogs display uncanny intelligence. Some have been known to swim out to anchored fishing boats for scraps, or to race alongside jogging visitors for several kilometers before veering off, as if on a personal patrol. At one point, their numbers surged so dramatically that community elders proposed a household limit. The plan, while sensible, faced quiet resistance. The dog's free spirit mirrored the islanders' own, unrestrained by fences or strict ownership. Number 12. The world's most unique sharing culture. In Kiribati, the very idea of ownership takes on a different, almost poetic meaning. Here there exists a centuries-old tradition known as bauti, a cultural practice of spontaneous, unhesitating sharing. If someone approaches you and says, "I babu to you," it's not a request in the typical sense, it's an invocation of custom, a gentle but undeniable call for generosity. Be it a blanket, a sandal, a woven mat, or even a canoe paddle, when asked you give, and you give without hesitation. Because in Kiribati, to withhold is to disrupt the harmony of the village. Everything, trees, fishing reefs, fruit, and belongings, exists in a kind of seasonal communal trust. Locals grow up with the belief that nothing is permanently theirs. And, paradoxically, the more joyfully one shares, the more prestige one quietly accrues. Status isn't marked by what you possess, but by how freely you let it go. In lively village gatherings, it's not uncommon to overhear someone chuckle over the absurdity of borrowing back their own phone charger or sarong days later. This spirit transcends daily life. At weddings, funerals, and during fierce tropical storms, the distribution of rice, coconut oil, and even radios or fishing spears happens naturally, without prompting. Booty isn't a burden. It's a silent promise to the land and to each other. And in times of drought or disaster, it transforms from custom to lifeline. In a world increasingly driven by individual gain, Kiribati offers a rare, optimistic glimpse into communal resilience, a society built not on possessions but on perpetual, unspoken generosity. Number 11. Island keepers, the world's loneliest job. Amid the endless turquoise expanse of the Central Pacific, scattered like forgotten pearls, are Kiribati's uninhabited atolls, places where the reef hums with unseen life, and the wind writes invisible stories across the sand. On these isolated strips of land far from villages and Wi-Fi signals, live the island keepers, solitary guardians of ocean spirit and tide. Every 3 months, brave volunteers leave the safety of their communities and sail out to these remote islands. Armed with little more than a solar-powered radio, a machete fishing lines, and a weather-stained notebook, they assume a role unlike any other in the modern world. Every detail is carefully handwritten, honoring a duty to ancestors and descendants alike. By day, the keepers patrol empty beaches, scanning for ghost ships or debris carried by faraway storms. They note the patterns of clouds and the calls of migratory birds. Sometimes a stranded whale will need their help. At night, under a sky so thick with stars it feels liquid, the island keepers work by lantern glow. They measure high tide marks against driftwood stakes, mark turtle nests with hand-carved signs, and whisper greetings to the distant outlines of neighboring islands. One veteran keeper, his face lined by sun and salt, once confided, "I want my grandchildren to see dolphins out there, not just in books." In an age of instant communication and noise, these men and women live as relics and prophets, preserving the slow, quiet language of the ocean for those who might one day need to remember. Number 10. Kiribati, the first nation to buy land from another country to survive. Few nations understand the sea's dual nature, as both life-giver and merciless threat, as intimately as Kiribati. With an average elevation of barely 2 meters above sea level, the country teeters on the brink of submersion. But this is no passive island story. In 2014, in an act both defiant and dignified, the Kiribati government made history. It purchased 6,000 acres of land on Vanuatu, one of Fiji's largest islands. The goal wasn't exile, but migration with dignity, a proactive, compassionate strategy to preserve culture, community, and identity. It was a move without precedent, a sovereign nation quietly preparing to transplant itself while retaining its soul. Kiribati's then president, Anote Tong, became a global advocate for climate justice. Addressing the United Nations, he famously declared, "We will not become climate refugees. We are citizens of a nation on the move." His words resonated across the Pacific and beyond, a bold reminder that for many, climate change isn't theoretical, it's existential. Tong didn't shy from naming culprits either. He openly criticized major polluters like the United States, China, and India, holding them accountable for the rising seas threatening his people's survival. Even as the international community debated and delayed, Kiribati quietly documented its churches, festivals, songs, and sacred rituals. Video archives grew, oral histories were recorded, and elders gathered grandchildren to recite origin myths by firelight. If the day comes when they must leave, Kiribati will not be reduced to scattered diaspora. They intend to carry their unbroken memory across the sea, as citizens, as stewards of ancient stories, and as one of the planet's most resilient people. In Kiribati, masculine strength isn't proven in gyms or weight rooms. It's tested on the trunk of a towering coconut palm. From childhood, boys are taught to scale these trees using a simple cloth strap looped around their ankles for grip. Barefoot, sun-darkened and grinning, they climb with the ease of geckos, reaching the highest fronds for ripe fruit. There's an old saying in Tarawa, "If you can't climb a coconut tree, you're still a child." It's both a joke and a measure of one's readiness to survive in a land where the ocean gives little and the land even less. These trees, lining the horizon like solemn guardians, are more than just a resource. They are the unspoken spine of Kiribati life, green-fingered lifelines stretching endlessly toward the sky. Number 7. Bikinibu, the village that floods once a month. In the southern stretch of Tarawa lies Bikinibu, a village unlike any other in the Pacific. Here, life moves according to the moon, as ancient as the tides. The village sits on the lowest coral ground in the region, a fact that turns every full moon and king tide into a ritual of resilience. When the ocean swells, Bikinibu floods. Streets become shallow rivers. Classrooms transform into aquariums of salt water. Bedrooms and kitchens fill with brine, and families hoist mattresses onto makeshift wooden tables. Sandbags are stacked in doorways with practiced efficiency. Children splash through submerged paths, and the sound of water sloshing against metal bed frames replaces the usual evening lullabies. It happens monthly, and yet no one leaves. Incredibly, some homes stand atop the rusting remains of American warships. Relics from World War II, now repurposed as flood-resistant foundations. Decades ago, these steel skeletons were dumped and abandoned in the lagoons. Today they hold up entire families, a defiant symbol of how Kiribati turns loss into shelter. There are no mass evacuations, no fleets of emergency boats. Instead, locals rely on tide charts carefully hand-copied from one generation to the next. Elders can read the signs of the sea in the wind, the cloud shapes, the movement of frigate birds. And when the moon grows fat and heavy, Bikinibu prepares, as it always has. Some residents sleep with alarms set to wake them during high tide, checking if their beds have slipped into the rising water. At dawn, life resumes. Classrooms dry out, the village sweeps away the salt, drums beat again. In a world increasingly terrified of rising seas, Bikinibu stands not as a victim, but as a stubborn, salt-soaked testament to adaptation. Here, water isn't an enemy, it's an old, familiar companion, one that arrives uninvited but never truly unwelcome. Number 6. Mamangai greeting by nose, touch, and breath. In Kiribati, a greeting isn't just a polite formality, it's a sacred exchange of spirit. When friends, family members, or honored guests meet, words aren't necessary. Instead, they gently touch noses and inhale a deep shared breath. This ancient ritual is called Mamangai, a gesture that carries more meaning than a handshake or a kiss ever could. It's believed that in that single silent breath, a fragment of life's mori, its vital energy, passes between the two souls, binding them together in warmth and mutual respect. You'll see it everywhere. Grandparents greeting grandchildren, old friends reunited on a dusty coral path, or a new bride and groom marking their wedding, not with a kiss, but with a mamangai, an unspoken promise whispered through breath. It's a gesture extended only to those who've earned a place within the heart of the village. And for travelers, if a weathered fisherman or cheerful mother surprises you with a mamangai and a gentle shoulder pat, it's more than a greeting. It's an invitation to become part of their world. Similar in spirit to the hongi of the Maori in New Zealand, Kiribati's mamangai carries its own serene, sincere character, reflecting the easy warmth of a culture shaped by sun, sea, and deep human connection. Number 5. Christmas Island, the first place on Earth to see the sunrise. Imagine standing barefoot on a stretch of powder-white beach, where the horizon blurs into endless shimmering blue. The air is warm and still, and the first blush of dawn spills across the sky. This is Kiribati Island, known to many as Christmas Island, the very first place on Earth to welcome the sunrise each day. There are no neon signs here, no sprawling resorts or bustling coffee chains. Instead, you'll find clear turquoise lagoons, graceful swaying palms, and coral reefs teeming with life. As the world's largest coral atoll, Kiribati offers an underwater paradise where divers swim among shoals of glimmering fish, kaleidoscopic coral gardens, and the occasional curious turtle. The colors below the surface are so vivid, they seem almost unreal. Emerald greens, brilliant oranges, and soft purples dancing in the sunlit water. At night, without a single street lamp to dim the heavens, the Milky Way stretches across the sky in a shimmering cascade. Visitors often capture it on their phones, amazed by a night sky so vast and unpolluted, it feels ancient, untouched, and profoundly humbling. And if you're the adventurous type, Christmas Island is also famed among sport fishermen for its elusive bonefish. But unlike in the West, where fancy rods and gadgets rule, many locals here prefer a simple line tied to a Coke bottle, a testament to skill over equipment and nature over technology. Number 4. The Pacific's most spectacular natural wonders. Kiribati isn't just a place of community traditions. It's home to some of the Pacific's most breathtaking natural wonders. First, there's Kiribati Lagoon. So expansive it's known as an inland sea adrift upon the ocean. Its glassy emerald waters stretch toward the horizon, a sanctuary for thousands of tropical fish that dart in shimmering schools beneath your feet. White seabirds trace slow arcs above the surface, while kayakers and swimmers drift in gentle currents, surrounded by the living pulse of the sea. A short boat ride from South Tarawa brings you to Abayang Island, a quiet contrast of tranquil beaches, dense mangrove forests, and traditional fishing villages, where time seems to move at its own unhurried pace. Here, sunsets are legendary, a blood-red sun sinking slowly into the calm, silver-blue ocean as the sky blazes with color. Most awe-inspiring of all is the Phoenix Islands Protected Area, or PIPA, a vast marine sanctuary covering more than 157,000 square miles of unspoiled Pacific wilderness. Recognized by UNESCO as one of the largest and most remote marine protected areas on Earth, it's a haven for hundreds of rare fish species, vibrant coral reefs, and migratory seabirds. Nearly uninhabited, the Phoenix Islands feel like a glimpse into a prehistoric world, where the rhythms of tides and moon phases still rule and nature reigns unchallenged. For those who venture here, whether by kayak, fishing boat, or dive expedition, it's a humbling reminder of how the planet once was, and how it still could be. Number 3. Unique festivals found only in Kiribati. In Kiribati, festivals aren't just celebrations. They're sacred vessels of memory, spirit, and identity. The word tabaki doesn't refer to a single event, but to an entire tradition of ceremonies rich in ancestral meaning and community bonding. These festivals connect generations and serve as living rituals in a world that here moves to the rhythm of tide and tradition. One of the most electrifying is the Kiribati warrior dance, a fierce display where men clad in coconut fiber armor, wielding traditional swords and spears, recreate ancient battle scenes. The air trembles with the beat of wooden drums and warrior chants. Every stomp and strike tells a story passed through bloodlines of warriors defending their islands and honor. Then there's Turunga, a sacred festival where villagers gather under the open sky to perform rain and harvest dances. These rituals, once purely ceremonial, now carry deeper weight as climate change threatens water supplies and crops. The dances are prayers in motion, ancient pleas for survival sent skyward with every graceful movement. Perhaps most heartwarming is the Unimene Festival, a time when elders become storytellers, singers, and cultural guardians. Under starlit skies, children gather around as oral histories, myths, and songs are shared. A school without blackboards where the true soul of Kiribati is taught, not in textbooks, but in whispers, laughter, and the steady beat of traditional drums. Number 2. Costs and visas to Kiribati in 2025. Living in Kiribati is like stepping through a time portal into a gentler, slower world where no one hurries and the ocean is never far from view. And surprisingly, the cost of living here remains modest, especially for those willing to embrace a simple, local lifestyle. A small beachfront hut in South Tarawa rents for around $200 a month. Forget air conditioning. Here, it's the steady hum of ocean breezes that cool your nights. Utilities, thanks to widespread solar use, average just $30 to $40 a month. Internet exists, but speeds crawl, and basic plans start around $50 a month. The diet is refreshingly elemental. Fresh-caught fish, steaming bowls of rice, and babai, a starchy football-sized root vegetable, make up daily meals. Eating like a local costs roughly $150 to $200 a month. Most residents travel by bicycle or on foot, while shared taxis or inter-island ferries charge only a few dollars per trip. You won't find glitzy gyms here, but if you do stumble upon one, memberships average about $20 a month. Basic dental care, $15 to $30 a visit. In total, living a modest, local-style life in Kiribati runs about $500 a month, around 20 to 25% of typical US or European city living costs. Visas are refreshingly straightforward too. Kiribati offers 30-day visa-free stays to citizens of over 60 countries, including the US, Canada, the EU, Australia, and New Zealand. Travelers from other nations can apply through the Kiribati Embassy in Suva, Fiji. And if you fall in love with the place, tourist visas can be extended in Tarawa, provided you've got a good reason, which, after a few weeks here, you just might. With costs this low and life this peaceful, here's a question for you. Would you move here? If yes, type 1. If not, type 0. Share your answer in the comments. I'm curious where you'd land. Number 1. The distinct flavors of Kiribati cuisine. When it comes to cuisine, Kiribati isn't about fancy sauces or crowded restaurants. It's about simplicity, freshness, and flavors drawn straight from the land and sea. And it all starts with the IK, or fresh fish, grilled over open charcoal fires or steamed in fragrant banana leaves. Tuna, reef fish, and grouper are caught mere hours before being served, seasoned only with sea salt and wild island herbs. No sauces, no butter. Yet the sweetness of the fish and the aromatic wrapping turn every bite into a revelation. The island's staple starch is babai, a hefty local taro root as large as a football. It's steamed whole in earth ovens, then sliced and served alongside dried fish at weddings, funerals, and festivals. Each tender bite tastes of earth, smoke, and tradition, a food rooted in centuries of survival and celebration. Then there's palusami, small, glossy bundles of taro leaves filled with a savory mix of fresh fish, onions, and island spices. Baked slowly, it emerges creamy and rich, often likened by American travelers to a tropical island lasagna, though its flavors are even more subtle and soulful. And no sunny day in Kiribati is complete without a bowl of local tuna poke, diced raw tuna marinated in seawater, lime juice, chili, and fresh garlic. It's sharp, bright, and brimming with the flavor of the ocean itself. In Kiribati, simplicity isn't a limitation, it's a philosophy. Every dish celebrates the idea that when ingredients are this fresh, the ocean this near, and tradition this alive, less really is more. Thanks for traveling with us. Wherever you are in the world, remember, home isn't just a place, it's a perspective. We'll see you in the next story, only here on Beyond Borders. Hit subscribe, share the journey, and stay curious.